All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening for our nutrition presentation. We're excited to share some new tips with you today. I am Amy Krasner. I'm a holistic nutritionist and a natural chef, and I've got lots of tips about snacks to share with you today. I'm located here in San Diego, and I have been working with Aya for the last 2.5 years, and with my private practice helping women with their health, so improving their various conditions, supporting them with weight loss, with energy levels, with thyroid conditions, lots of different health conditions that I use nutrition to support them with. So I'm excited to dive in and share some new content with you today. Before we get started, if you can go ahead and type in the chat box. We want to make sure that we test the chat box to see that you know where to type in. And if you are on your mobile phone, there should be a little green man. And if you click on that, then you can enter in the chat box and just enter in a note telling us where you are calling in from. So if you can tell us where you're calling in from, we'd love to hear you. All right, we have a few other people from San Diego. Someone in Denver. All right, someone else from Texas. Excellent. Let's wait a second to make sure that everyone can find that chat box. All right. So before we begin our presentation today, just take a moment to look over the disclaimer. The information presented today is for educational purposes only, and please make sure to consult with your doctor if you have any specific medical conditions. This is not to be used instead of medical advice. Right? So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the different challenges that come with snacks, why it is so challenging to eat healthy snacks, and what are the things that stand in our way. Then we're going to talk about the different benefits of having snacks. There's a lot of differing opinions. Should we have snacks? Should we not eat snacks? And we're going to talk about some of the benefits of why I believe that snacking is important. We're also going to talk about snack timing, how often to snack, what times of day to snack, review all of that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to create a balanced and healthy snack. So we'll be covering some good examples of healthy snacks for you today too. All right. So some common questions that I get about snacking is there's a lot of confusion around it because there's so many different mixed messages that we get. And some of the common questions that I get are, will snacking help me lose weight? Other people are concerned about whether snacking is going to make them gain weight. Other people are just confused about how many snacks should they even eat per day. Should we be eating snacks before bed? And what should we even eat for a snack? So what are some snack options? If you have any other questions about snacks, please make sure to type them into the chat box because I want to make sure that we give you all the information that you're looking for today. So if you type it in the chat box, I'll make sure to cover that if you have any additional questions about snacks that we didn't cover here. Okay. All right. So here's the challenge. When we go to a grocery store, when we see a vending machine, when we even walk into Staples somewhere where you have office supplies, we're surrounded with so many different types of snacks. And as a culture in the United States, we have come to associate snacks with certain food items. And these items often tend to be relatively processed and have lots of processed ingredients. They also happen to taste really good because they have lots of sugar and lots of ingredients that have make our palates crave, or our taste buds crave them more. So some common snack options that we often see are things like potato chips, or even tortilla chips, pretzels. I know those peanut butter filled pretzels are pretty common, pretty popular. Let's see, I'm seeing that some people cannot hear me. Okay. Let me see if I can fix that. Thank you for letting me know. I'm just going to hold on 1 second and try to adjust the audio. So give me 1 minute. All right. If you can tell me, the attendee who typed in that you couldn't hear, can you please let me know if you can hear me any better now? Showing on my end that my microphone is working. You can type in to let me know if you can hear any better. I did adjust the settings, so hopefully that worked. Okay, we're going to continue and see if you can, let me see. All right, we'll use the chat box to communicate just in case you can't hear. Okay, we're going to continue on, and we do have a recording just in case you can't hear. Please go ahead and type in the chat box if you need anything else, and we'll help take care of that. All right. So some common snack options that we see and that we associate as snacks are things like potato chips, pretzels. Those peanut butter filled pretzels are pretty common. Crackers like Goldfish or Cheez-Its. Cookies, things like Oreos or chocolate chip cookies, donuts. A lot of times I see donuts brought into the office as a snack. Fruit snacks, muffins are another one. Trail mix with dried fruit or chocolate. So I know that Costco sells a big trail mix that has some chocolate pieces in them as well. Candy bars, granola bars, and protein bars. Now, these things would be okay every once in a while, but if we're eating them every day on a daily basis, then that's where it becomes an issue. Now, we want to make sure that we're getting, whenever we eat, it's really an opportunity for us to nourish our bodies and get nutrients from the foods that we're eating. And the truth is that some foods actually give us energy and some foods actually reduce our energy levels. So we want to make sure that we're eating according to what feels best for your body, and how can you feel best throughout the day. Okay. We're still having some audio issues, so let's see if we can fix that. Okay, we're just pausing for one moment. Sorry about this, everyone. Let's see. Okay. I have someone call back in. All right, we're testing the audio again still. If you can type in the chat box, let us know if you can hear us. All right, testing, testing. All right, we have some people who can hear us. We have one or two people who are saying that they can't. We're just going to pause and go back to some of the slides if we need to. Testing, testing. All right, we are going to go back to the beginning so that we can do a quick recap. All right, so our agenda today, we're going to be talking about all of the different challenges that we have with snacks. We're going to talk about why it's so difficult to have healthy snacks and where the mindset shift needs to happen. We're also going to talk about the benefits of snacking. There's, a lot of people who say that you should snack, some people who say you shouldn't snack, and in my experience as a nutritionist working with lots of clients, I've found that for most people, snacking is beneficial. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about snack timing. When should you be snacking, and how to create a balanced snack, how to create a healthy snack. Some common questions that I get when it comes to snacking are, will snacking help me to lose weight? Will snacking make me gain weight? So some people think have heard that it might help you to lose weight. Some people think that it might help make you gain weight. We also want to look at how many snacks should I eat per day? That's a very common question that I get. Should I have a snack before bed? And what should I eat for a snack? So these are, this range of questions goes to show that there's a lot of confusion around snacking, and that we want to get really clear on these answers today. So if you have any other questions that you want to ask about snacking throughout the presentation, please make sure to type in the chat box, and I would love to answer those for you today. So in the U.S. culture here in America and in many other countries, we have started to associate the term snacks with certain food items. And this has happened over time as we've implemented vending machines in our workplaces, as we have had various types of snacks that are marketed towards us. So when we go to the grocery store, we see lots of different snacks in the snack aisle. Those are promoted to us as snacks. We also have started to really lean towards quick and easy options. So that's okay. There are ways to have healthy snacks that are quick and easy, but we're really taught this grab and go type of mentality. So what we want to start to do is start to look at, okay, what types of snacks are we eating now, or what are our common go-tos, and then how can we create upgrades or healthier options? So some common snack options that we often see are things like potato chips, pretzels. Those peanut butter filled pretzels are pretty common, popular. Crackers like Goldfish or Cheez-Its, cookies, chocolate chip cookies, Oreos, donuts. A lot of times I see those being brought into the workplace as a snack or as a treat. Fruit snacks, those gummy fruit snacks, things like trail mixes with dried fruit or chocolate. So I've seen those at Trader Joe's or at Costco, where they have the M&Ms or the colored chocolates in there. Candy bars or granola bars, and then also protein bars as well. So these are all some pretty common snack options that we see, and we're going to talk about why we want to upgrade those options as well. Okay. So before we get to the benefits of snacking, I do want to go back and talk about what's wrong with these types of snacks that we're currently used to eating. And these snacks tend to be more processed, and when you look at the ingredient list for these snacks, you'll see that there's a lot of ingredients, a lot of processed ingredients that don't have a lot of nutrients in them. Additionally, most of these snacks are really high sugar and really high carbohydrate, and they don't have a lot of protein or healthy fats in them. So there's a few exceptions. The trail mix do have some nuts and healthy fats in them, but they also oftentimes are coated with unhealthy fats like certain oils that are tossed. The nuts are tossed in. So we want to just be careful of the types and ingredients, and we want to make sure that the snacks that we're eating are very nourishing. We want these snacks to be giving us energy, to help us feel good, to support our health, and really help to keep us satisfied throughout the day. Additionally, some of these snacks are very addicting in flavor, so that means that we just want more, or we have to eat a lot of them in order to be satisfied. And ideally, we want to eat snacks that are still satisfying, but that aren't addicting to our brain or addicting to our taste buds. So let's dive into the benefits of snacking. So in between meals, there's oftentimes a long period of time that we go between meals. So between breakfast and lunch, and then between lunch and dinner. Oftentimes the distance or the time between those three meals tend to be longer than 4 to 5 hours. So usually that morning break from breakfast to lunch isn't as long as the afternoon one from lunch until dinner. And what happens is if we wait too long to eat, then our blood sugar oftentimes starts to drop, which causes sugar cravings. It also makes us overeat. So when we finally do get to our meal, we tend to eat more than we normally would. And we often have low energy levels when our blood sugar drops. So part of the benefits of snacking is to help stabilize the blood sugar throughout the day, which is going to help with supporting healthy blood sugar, stabilizing the blood sugar for preventing prediabetes, for preventing diabetes as well. Also for helping with weight loss. When our blood sugar is going up and down all the time, we oftentimes trigger fat storage instead of fat burning. So helping to stabilize the blood sugar is an important factor that snacks tend to help us with. The next thing that snacks help us do is to fight off hunger in between meals. So what I see a lot of is that many diets promote that if you eat less, then you'll lose weight, or that you should have really small portions or not eat that much throughout the day. And that tends to create a very miserable environment or help people to not feel good throughout the day. If you're eating a truly nourishing diet, if you're eating foods that nourish you at the times that are appropriate, then you shouldn't be hungry throughout the day. You don't have to be hungry all the time in order to lose weight or to be healthy. It's really more about nourishing your body. And so, it's really uncomfortable, that hunger feeling all the time, and snacks really help to create that stabilized time in between meals so that you're not being hungry all the time. The next thing that it does, which I mentioned, is that snacking helps to prevent overeating at meals. If you get to a meal and you're overly hungry because the last time you ate was 5 or 6 hours ago, you're definitely going to have a hard time eating a smaller amount of food, and then you're also probably going to make food choices that you normally wouldn't make if you weren't so hungry. And lastly, snacking can also help with improving your sleep quality. So some people do better with having a snack before bed, and that can help with their blood sugar. And some people do better without having any snacks before bed. They sleep better that way. So that's all about blood sugar stabilization. And I actually recently worked with a lady who had gestational diabetes, and she was really working on having healthier blood sugar levels. And we found that for her, that having a snack before bed was really beneficial to help with her fasting blood sugar levels in the morning. So it really does depend person to person as far as whether to snack before bed or not, but sometimes it can help to improve sleep by having a snack before bed. All right, so now we're going to get more into the snack timing. Before we do, I'd like to get some participation from you and learn a little bit more about what your snack habits are. So if you can please type in the chat box and let us know how many snacks do you eat per day, and then what time do you eat your snacks. So this is a two-part question. You can answer in the chat box, how many snacks are you eating per day, and what time do you usually eat your snacks? All right, so we have someone said that we have 1 to 2 snacks. They have 1 to 2 snacks per day, maybe mid-morning and mid-afternoon. Okay. All right, only once a day, usually in the afternoon. Okay, and someone else says no snacks. Okay, no snacks. All right. So one thing that I've seen a lot of is that when we don't have adequate nutrition throughout the day, oftentimes people tend to snack a lot at night. So we tend to have a large amount of snacking at night because the body doesn't feel satisfied throughout the day. And many times people think, oh, well, I don't feel healthy, or I'm gaining weight because I eat too much towards the end of the day. I have too many snacks at night. It's really more about shifting what you're eating throughout the day that's going to determine whether you have cravings or whether you tend to snack in the evening. So that's something that we want to pay attention to as well for snack timing. All right, and we have some people who eat fruit in the morning and nuts and vegetables in the afternoon. Awesome. So you could probably help us with this presentation. It sounds like you're on the right track with your eating habits. Excellent. Okay. So here is the guide that I'd like to support you with when it comes to identifying how often should you be having snacks. And this is very customized person to person based on how you're feeling. There's a lot of nutrition rules out there and they don't apply to every single person. The way that you're really going to get to know what works best for you is by listening to your body and not just following these rules from everyone else. So that's why I'm going to teach you this tool when we ask about how often should we be snacking and when should we be snacking. By using this tool, you're going to be able to answer that question for yourself. And this is called the hunger scale. So what we're looking at is on a scale of 1 to 10. The first part from 1 to 5 is identifying how hungry you are. And then from 5 to 10 is identifying how full you are. So 5 is the middle point, and that's going to show whether that we're kind of neutral. It means that we're not super hungry and we're not full. We just kind of feel neutral. When we look at the other end of the spectrum, 1 means that we've waited so long to eat that we feel starving, we feel dizzy, and we feel weak. We don't feel good. So before you eat, or when you're deciding, should I have a snack, should I not have a snack, really check in with yourself and see, okay, how hungry am I? Usually a good place to eat is at around a 3. So 4 is you're just beginning to get hungry. 3 is that you start to feel hunger. So maybe your stomach, you can start to feel your stomach growling. Maybe you can hear your stomach, or you just feel hungry in your stomach. And then if you wait until you get to 2 or 1, it usually means that you've waited too long to eat. So ideally, once you start to notice that you're at a 3, starting to feel that you actually feel hunger, that's a good time to have a snack. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is that if we wait too long to eat, so let's say we wait until we get to a 2 or a 1 on the hunger scale, then oftentimes what happens by the time we get to a meal is we end up overeating. So we end up eating to the point where we're at an 8 or a 9 or a 10 where we feel stuffed, where we've eaten too much and feel really uncomfortable. So this hunger scale can be used for snacks, but it can also be used for meals as well. So checking in with yourself, am I actually hungry, is a good question versus am I eating just out of a habit or because it's a certain time of day that I think that I should be eating. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is your hunger from emotional hunger? Are you eating because you're bored or you're stressed, or are you eating because you're actually physically hungry? And I like to determine the difference between these two things. So if it is emotional hunger, it means that your hunger comes on suddenly. I kind of like to think of this as a craving. So all of a sudden you really feel like eating something, or you think of a food that you want to eat. Emotional hunger also is like, I have to have this right now. I can't have it later. I need it today, right now. You're going to have specific cravings for comfort foods. So maybe you want something salty or sweet, or maybe something that your mom used to make, or maybe a chocolate chip cookie if that's your comfort food. I know that is one of my comfort foods. Some people it's ice cream. So these emotional hunger is more the mind hunger versus the body hunger. And I'm trying to help you to identify the difference between the two so that you can really get a sense of when does it make sense for you to have a snack and when does it make sense for you to eat. Usually if we have emotional hunger, we try and hide it. So we try to hide it from ourselves, or we eat it really quickly, or we don't want other people to see it. So maybe you're in the snack room at work and you wait until no one's in there before you eat it. Or maybe you go outside to eat a snack because you're embarrassed that you're eating it because you're eating more out of an emotional factor. All right, so those are some of the emotional factors of if you feel like you have more emotional hunger. The physical hunger is actually the body saying you're hungry, not just the mind saying you're hungry. So this hunger usually comes on gradually. It's not immediate. So you can start to say, oh, I'm starting to get hungry. Okay, now I'm actually hungry. If we're paying attention to the body, it will tell us those cues. If you are physically hungry, usually you can wait a little bit. You don't have that sense of urgency that you need it right this second. Usually if you're physically hungry, you might have a variety of foods that sound good to you and not just one particular food. With emotional hunger, it's usually one or two particular foods. And usually with physical hunger, you can take your time with your food. You can eat slowly. You can stop eating when you're full. That's all, showing that your body is actually hungry. All right. There's no guilt afterwards. If you have physical hunger, most of the time, it doesn't come with a lot of guilt after you eat it. So going back to the hunger scale, if you ask yourself before you have a snack, how hungry am I? And if you are at a 5, then you're neutral, you're not that hungry, but you're still wanting to have a snack. That probably means that you have an emotional reason for snacking. So that either means that you might be sad, you might be bored. So, maybe it's been a long day and you're just feeling really bored or tired. Maybe you feel stressed. There's a lot going on at work, and so eating can be kind of a way to zone out or to relieve that stress. Maybe feeling lonely, using food for comfort, or feeling anxious because when we eat, it actually has a calming down effect. It affects our neurotransmitters and it helps us to calm down. So these are a variety of different emotions. So if you notice when you're having a snack before you eat, ask yourself, how hungry am I? And if you're not hungry, then check in to see what emotions am I feeling right now? Why is it that I might be reaching for a snack? Now, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to eat when you have emotions, that we're using it for comfort. We're using it for a reason to help us. But at the same time, we want to start to look at these patterns, start to notice, am I eating just because it's a habit? Am I eating because I'm actually hungry? Or am I eating because of my emotions? So that's some really good things to start to check in with yourself. All right, so before we move on, does anyone have any questions about the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger, or about the hunger scale that we talked about? These are some new concepts that, might be new to you, but these are all great ways to really check in with yourself to see what's going to work best for you versus just a generic approach to exactly what time to eat and when and what to eat. All right. So if we don't have questions, we'll move forward. So here are some guidelines. These are not rules; they're more guidelines to see what timing is best for snacks. And so generally, what I see is that if the time between meals is longer than 5 hours, people tend to have low blood sugar symptoms or just start to not feel very good. So usually things like low energy or sugar cravings or feeling lightheaded if they wait too long to eat. And oftentimes if you're busy, especially as a nurse, when you're busy and you have, long days or you're busy with patients, sometimes we forget to eat and we have to just have a little reminder. So for some people, it's helpful to say, okay, if my break between lunch and dinner is longer than 5 hours, then how can I incorporate a snack here? Or maybe I can take a pause and have a snack and then return to what I'm doing. Excuse me. All right. The other question that I do get very often is it okay to snack before bed, or is it okay to snack at night after dinner? Yes, it is okay to snack before bed if you're hungry. And again, I want you to check in with your hunger levels to see if you're actually hungry, or if you're eating because you're bored or because you're tired. Sometimes we just need to go to sleep. Sometimes we don't need to have that evening snack. And the reason why we want that snack in the first place is because we're actually tired. And food gives us energy. So sometimes the body or the mind will tell us, okay, I need food because I'm tired, when really we actually need rest. So checking in with that. And then the one thing that I will advise as far as snack timing is to avoid grazing all day. So some people will, just snack all day long, just small amounts of food all day long. And the reason why I recommend to avoid that is because our digestive tract needs time in between eating to actually absorb and break down the food. So we don't want to graze all day long. Oftentimes if we're grazing all day long, we actually end up eating more than what we would actually eat if we had a full meal. So my recommendation is to have 3 meals per day, and then depending on your hunger levels and how long your break is between those meals, that to have some type of snack. Okay, next we're going to dive into how to create a balanced snack. What I really want you to focus on with snacking is to start to shift the mindset from the popular snacks or the common way that we think about snacking. Usually we think about snacks as a quick grab and go, something in a package, something in a box. But what I really want to emphasize with snacking is to focus on real food. So what I mean by real food is fruits, vegetables, other foods that have lots of nutrients in them. We're going to go over some examples of different snacks, but whenever possible, real food is always going to be healthier than a packaged option. So many protein bars are promoted as a really healthy snack, but in reality, having the nutrients from the actual ingredients themselves are going to be healthier. So instead of having a fruit and nut bar, I would rather you have some raw nuts and have the actual fruit, which has the fresh fruit instead of the dried fruit, and that's going to have more fiber and less sugar in it. So that's one example where if you can do a fruit and nuts instead of a fruit and nut bar, that's a good example. I totally get that when we're traveling or when we're on the go, that sometimes these backup options like the fruit and nut bar or certain granola bars are helpful. And those can be used occasionally when we need them, when we're kind of in a bind. But what I'm talking about here is how can we upgrade our snacking on a daily basis so we can get the most nutrients. So here's an example of how to create a balanced snack. What we want to focus on is getting a variety of different of the macronutrients in a snack. If we go back to the first slide where I talked about some of the common snacks, chips, cookies, pretzels, those types of snacks have mostly carbohydrates in them. And the problem with that is that they don't have any protein or healthy fats. What happens is carbohydrate-only snacks tend to only hold us over for a short amount of time. So we might eat it, feel full, and then be hungry very shortly afterwards. And then also what they do is they spike the blood sugar. And after a blood sugar spike, we always get a blood sugar drop, which is going to cause low energy. So what we want to focus on is to create a balanced snack. You want to pay attention to make sure that you have some type of protein, some type of carbohydrate, and some type of healthy fat. Now, if you can't get all 3 of these, that's okay. I do want you to have at least 2 of them. So I want to make sure that you're not eating snacks that just have carbohydrates. Also, having a snack that just has a handful of nuts is usually not enough for a snack. I like to think of snacks as mini meals, or something that's actually going to hold you over and give you enough nutrients when you're eating it. So some ideas for protein for snacks: you can have eggs, you can have beef jerky or Greek yogurt. For the carbohydrates, having fruits, vegetables, or certain crackers. There are some healthy cracker options that we'll talk about. And then for the healthy fats, incorporating nuts, things like nuts or seeds or avocado. Those are a variety of different ideas of how you can combine those. So my next question to you is, do you crave more sweet or more salty for snacks? Or for food in general, what do you usually crave, more sweet or salty? If you can type into the chat box. Okay, depends on what day and what's going on. Okay, so it sounds like that might depend on how stressed one might be. Maybe time of month might affect that as well. There's some people who crave chocolate and also sometimes salty, so maybe in that salty-sweet combination, and someone who just craves salty. Okay, so definitely a variety. Let's see. So what my goal is to be able to still give you the flavors that you're craving and still get those, but have an upgraded version, so have upgraded options. And so not only are we looking at what type of flavor do I want, but we're also looking at what type of texture. So having a snack like pretzels, which is pretty crunchy, is going to be very different to having a yogurt for a snack. Those are two very different textures. So really checking in with yourself, what do I really feel like right now? Sometimes if we're craving something very crunchy, if you're someone who really likes to have that crunch, that can sometimes be associated with a different stress level. So if someone's really stressed, sometimes we want something crunchy to help relieve that stress. It's a very common connection between those two. Sometimes when we crave something sweet, we're actually craving because we want comfort or because we're bored. And salty can be because we're tired, but those don't always associate, but those are some of the reasons. We can also be nutrient deficient. If you're someone who always craves salt, you might be mineral deficient, and we might want to start adding some real good quality sea salt to your meals and to your snacks to improve your mineral quality. Or we might want to do a trace mineral supplement to help to replenish your minerals in the body. So if you're someone who craves salt all the time, that's something that you might want to consider. So here are some healthy snack options that we're going to review. One of the easiest ones, and someone mentioned this earlier, doing some type of nuts and fruit. Ideally with nuts, I really want you to focus on doing raw, unsalted nuts. You can find actually at Trader Joe's, they have really nice small little packets that have nuts in them that are just raw almonds, and so those are a nice way to pre-segment them out. I also like to make my own trail mix. So what I'll do is I'll add maybe some shredded coconut, dried coconut in there with some nuts, a variety of different nuts to get some variety, maybe cashews, pecans, walnuts, maybe some seeds. I really like pumpkin seeds, or they also call them pepitas. They're the little green ones. Those are some great mixtures. You can also add some superfoods in there like goji berries. Those are a really nice addition. Get some chewy and sweet in there with those. So having some type of nuts and fruit, maybe a handful of nuts and then a small fruit would be good. You could also do an apple with almond butter or peanut butter. For the nut butters, I really want you to focus on the ingredients. So when you're looking for an almond butter in the store or a peanut butter in the store, I want you to look at the ingredients, and it should just say almonds or just say peanuts. If there are other sugars or oils in the nut butter, then that is more processed, and those ingredients are not as supportive for our health. So make sure to look at that. And if you do buy the natural one that just has almonds or just has peanuts in it, then most likely will have to combine the oil that sits on top with the rest of the butter. So what I like to do is when I first get it, I'll mix it all in, and then I'll put it in the fridge, and it will stay really nicely combined together. All right, some other good options. Many people like to have some type of dip for some flavor, so hummus or guacamole. For those two things, what we're looking for is, again, the type of oil that they use. So for hummus, we want to make sure that the only oil that is used is olive oil. We don't want canola oil, sunflower oil, or safflower oil because those are more pro-inflammatory oils. And same with the guacamole. Sometimes I see guac that has sugar in it or has these processed oils. So these are pretty easy to make at home. The hummus lasts for longer than the guacamole, but there are some great store-bought ones that you can look for as well. If you're looking to keep it simple, you can just do half an avocado with sea salt and lemon juice. This will depend on the time of year, whether avocados are available, and also depending on where you live in the country. Some of us have more access to avocados than others, so that could be a good option. I also really like doing like an egg and avocado salad. It's basically like an egg salad, but you use the avocado to get that creamy texture that you would usually use mayonnaise for. And I like to add a little bit of sea salt, black pepper, and even a little bit of mustard powder and garlic powder in with that. And basically what you're doing is you're taking hard-boiled eggs and you're mashing them and you're mixing some avocado in there to make a nice little salad that you can use throughout the week for snacks. Another thing, oops, looks like we went backwards somehow. Okay. Vegetable sticks, getting a variety, not just doing carrots, but you can do mini bell pepper, celery, cucumber. Some people, if you can tolerate raw broccoli or raw cauliflower, some people can't tolerate those, so just be sure to check in to see if you feel okay after eating those. Or even the mini tomatoes are really nice with to dip in some hummus or on their own are great. Other things to look at, Greek yogurt and adding your own fruit. So definitely looking for a plain yogurt and ideally looking for an organic Greek yogurt because the dairy is coming from an animal source and we want to make sure that it's good quality. So getting an organic plain Greek yogurt will help to keep the sugar down and then adding some berries. If that's too tart for you, you could always add a little bit of coconut palm sugar or stevia, a few stevia drops, either the liquid stevia or the powdered stevia to give it a little bit more sweetness. I don't recommend adding honey to the Greek yogurt with berries because even though honey is a natural sweetener, we're already going to get some sugar from the yogurt. So we want to just kind of limit the added sugars that we're going to add to that. If you tolerate dairy, okay, the Greek yogurt would be a good option. Cottage cheese is also another great option. I like to add berries. I like to add some nuts to that to give it some texture. And I actually personally like to add a little bit of cinnamon to that. That's a really nice snack for me. Something easy that you can make in advance is doing the hard-boiled eggs and chopping up some veggies in advance. You can also at many stores buy some pre-chopped veggies. Those could be a nice, easy snack to bring with you. You could also roast some vegetables if you like cooked vegetables better or just want to get some variety, roasting some vegetables. So maybe roasting some sweet potato, roasting broccoli, cauliflower. Those are all really nice snacks. And then also making some type of peanut butter protein balls. So I really like doing this. It's great. The peanut butter protein balls don't require any cooking. It's basically using peanut butter or almond butter as the base. And then you can add a variety of different seeds. So I usually like to add some chia seeds, some pumpkin seeds, some flax seeds to it, ground flax seeds, and then a little bit of protein powder in there. You can do it with or without protein powder. And then and I like to add some shredded coconut, and I just mix all of that up and then roll them into balls, and then you can just put them in the fridge. For that one, you can sweeten it with a little bit of honey or a little bit of coconut palm sugar, and those are really easy grab-and-go snacks that only take about 5 to 10 minutes to make. Some other healthy snack options. These ones I like to show some options that are packaged because I know that we can't be perfectionists all the time and only eat, fresh foods all the time. Sometimes we don't have access to that. And also sometimes we just want something a little bit different and different flavors. So here are some of my recommendations for some of the more packaged snacks. These are still really great upgrades or improvements from the products that we normally find. So instead of having Cheez-Its, I'm recommending to look for a brand called Mary's Gone Crackers or Jill's Crackers. A healthy upgrade for popcorn. You can get already pre-popped popcorn. It comes with coconut oil and some sea salt. So the Buddha Bowl is the brand that I like. You could also get your own non-GMO popcorn or corn kernels and make the popcorn at home. You can use avocado oil or coconut oil for those. Upgrading the quality of your tortilla chips, so looking for non-GMO corn products is going to be a great upgrade. The top one, organic beef jerky. Some of you might be surprised that I'm including it in there, but if you look for a low-sugar organic beef jerky, then those are going to be actually a good quality snack for you. Also, one of the cleanest bars that I've seen on the market that isn't high in sugar and that uses really good quality ingredients is by a company called Bulletproof. If you're familiar with Bulletproof coffee, it's the same company, and they have some collagen protein bars. They have a vanilla and a chocolate flavor. You can search for those online and see where you can get them at a store near you or buy them on Amazon. And then some other things to add is doing some type of seaweed snack. Some of them are made with olive oil. Some of them have other oils in, so just make sure to look at that. Now, I have a nurse. I have a couple of clients who are nurses at the moment, and one of them, we were trying to figure out what afternoon snack would be best for her, because she's oftentimes with patients or she's filling in charts and doing paperwork. And what we found was the best option for her was to pre-make a smoothie and put it into a hydro flask or into a water bottle that keeps it cold, and for her to sip on that in the afternoon as a snack while she's doing patient files or in between working with patients. And that seemed to work really well for her. In the afternoon, she would get home pretty late from work, and by having that afternoon snack and having a protein smoothie, she was able to get to dinner without being starving and able to actually make it home to cook something or heat something up instead of having to stop on her way home because she was overly hungry or too hungry by the time she got home. So maybe that might be a good tip for you if you want to make a little protein smoothie. These are a couple of the protein brands that I recommend, either the MRM protein, J-Rob, or you can even get the Vega Sports Performance or Vega protein. That's also a good plant-based option. I do want to review some snacks that seem to be healthy or that are promoted as healthy, but oftentimes are deceiving. And what I mean by that is they might seem healthy, but they may not be giving us enough nutrients, or they might be have too much of certain ingredients in them. So I've talked a little bit about the flavored yogurt or even a yogurt parfait. So yogurt parfait oftentimes has the yogurt and the granola and the fruit and honey, and that all ends up adding up to a lot of sugar in one place. Ideally, what I recommend is about 40 grams of sugar per day total, and most of that coming from fruits and vegetables. And when you do something like a yogurt parfait, depending on where you get it from, especially if it has flavored yogurt, it can have up to 20 to 30 grams of sugar in it. And that's the same thing with flavored yogurt. A flavored yogurt can have anywhere between 22 and 26 grams of sugar. And I really want you to look on the label to make sure that it has less than 10 grams of sugar per serving on any packaged food items like yogurts and other products like protein bars as well. So same thing with the protein bars. A lot of protein bars are just glorified candy bars. They're really high in sugar and they have lots of processed ingredients in them. So make sure to read those ingredients, and more likely than not, most of the protein bars that I see are not actually healthy. And they just end up being, lots of sugar and lots of processed ingredients. Same thing with granola bars, the Nature Valley bars. I'm sorry to tell you, but those are also not the healthiest option if you look at the ingredients and look how much sugar and carbohydrates they have. I always want to make sure that if you are doing any granola, that you're combining it with a protein and or a healthy fat to get that rounded out effect, so we don't get those blood sugar spikes as well. And then whole wheat crackers. Whole wheat crackers are oftentimes actually white flour, and they're just enriched with some nutrients in them. There's not actually too many benefits from the whole wheat crackers. So I'm thinking about Triscuits and other crackers that are said that they're whole grain, but really when you look on the back, there's a lot of processed ingredients. And this last one I love the most because when I was in high school and elementary school, my mom used to pack me these 100-calorie pack Snackwell packs or Oreo packs, and they were promoted as healthy because of the calories, but when you really look at it, it's not actually a healthy snack. It doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. So just because it's low calorie and low fat does not mean that it has good quality ingredients, and that's what we're really focusing on, switching our mindset to good quality ingredients that are going to give our cells the nutrients that we need to feel good and to be healthy. All right. So some additional tips is to, as far as snacking goes, is to maybe pick 2 or 3 snacks that you want to have for the week. What I like to do is I just like to alternate between 2 different snacks. So maybe one day I'll have a chia seed pudding, which I didn't put on the snack options, but that's one of my favorite snacks. Maybe I'll have a chia seed pudding with some berries in it, and then the other day I'll have some veggie sticks and hummus. And I think that if you have 2 or 3 snacks available to you in your fridge, that will get you through the week. And then to have some variety, maybe the next week you'll make something different. So maybe you'll make the peanut butter protein balls, or you'll make a smoothie, just lots of different options of snacks that you can rotate between. So having snacks available is really helpful, especially if you're looking to have healthy snacks that are nourishing. We do want grab and go options, but sometimes we have to make those grab and go options. So taking 10 minutes on the weekend to make sure that you have some healthy snack options. I also want to encourage to practice mindful snacking. So what I mean by this is many people zone out when they're snacking. They'll be on the computer, they'll be talking to someone else, they'll snack in the car, and we oftentimes end up eating more than we actually need to. So we eat past our hunger levels, our hunger point, or our fullness point. So we might end up being at a 7 or an 8 on the hunger scale when really we only needed half the amount. And that's a good example of that is if we're sitting in front of the TV and we have a bowl of popcorn, or we have some crackers or some cookies, and we're eating and we're looking at the TV, and before we know it, the bowl is empty. We don't even realize that we finished it. And so I really recommend to slow down, and when you're having a snack, pay attention. Focus on the flavors, focus on chewing the food, make sure that you're not distracted, so that we're not overeating all the time when we're having snacks. Lastly, or 2 other things that I'd recommend is looking at your snack timing. So are you just eating every day at the same time because it's a habit, or are you eating because you're actually hungry? This goes back to looking at the hunger scale and also looking at what emotions are driving you to eat. And I didn't mention before that if you are eating because for emotions, because you're stressed or you're bored or you're tired, those aren't bad things. We just need to find other solutions to solve those problems. So if you are bored, then maybe going and talking to a coworker or calling a friend, or if you're feeling stressed, taking some deep breaths, maybe stepping away from your desk, going outside. There's lots of different ways to address those emotions that are coming up instead of using food to solve those. And then my last suggestion is to do a pantry clean out. Oftentimes if unhealthy snacks are available, that's what we're going towards, that's what we're going to choose. So if you have old bags of chips, or if you have lots of different types of crackers or candy or chocolate, things that aren't as nourishing for you, it's a really good idea to actually get rid of those items, and so that we can start to replace them with healthier items. So you don't have to remove them all at once, but one by one, I'd really like for you to start to get rid of some of those items and replace them with healthier upgrades. So those are all the snacking tips for today. I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me on this presentation. I hope that you got a few new tips and new snack ideas. And if you want more tips or ideas, make sure to follow me on social media. You can also visit my website, which is nourishedbalance.com. And I do send out a monthly newsletter with nutrition tips and recipes as well. So you can find that information on my website. I'd love to open up the floor for questions or comments. So please, if you have any questions about snacks, if you're wondering maybe is the snack that you're eating, is it healthy? Or if you have questions about it, if you didn't get the answer to that, you're welcome to write that in the chat box, and I'm happy to answer any questions that relate to snacking if you still have any unresolved questions. Okay. Let's see. All right. So if you have any personal questions that you want to ask that you don't feel comfortable asking the group, then please go ahead and email me. My email is akrasner@ayahealthcare.com. And thank you again for joining us on this presentation.